morning, everyone. I'm so excited for this video and another step in my sewing journey. I'm gonna be making my very first quilt. I've been watching videos all week trying to figure out what pattern I want to use. I figured this could be a really great project to use up a bunch of my scraps. I was initially just going to do the square checkered pattern, but I kind of want to do one of these. If you came along my shopping for like antique vintage sewing items, that I purchased this quick quilts to make in a weekend, which is exactly what I'm doing today, so it's perfect. This is a 1996 edition, so I thought it was really cool and that we could make something out of this book. So I kind of want to try doing one of these evening stars. Like I said, I've been watching tons of videos and I think they're called all kinds of different things. Lemon stars, 8-point star, evening star, sawtooth. There's so many different names for this kind of style, but I really like it and I like the contrasting fabrics. I feel like this would be great to use up even more of the scraps instead of just doing the single squares. So we're gonna try potentially do more of this style where it has the different colored points. Okay, here's my first basket. So just full of scraps, and I think I kind of want to do a pink spring, like pastel colors, because this is what I purchased for the backing. So a pink and white kind of like gingham plaid minky fabric. So it is incredibly soft. And I want to do something that looks really cute with this. Plus, if you've been watching me, you know my favorite color is pink, and I just really love pastels and spring colors. So let's see what I have. Of course, we have a bunch of the strawberry. This could potentially look cute. Here's some of my Mayflowers. We'll grab that. A gingham. I'm just gonna grab pretty much anything that goes with the color theme. I have a ton of scraps, and because most of my collections all have like pinks and neutrals and pastels, I have a lot of fabric that will hopefully look cute on this quilt. I think a lot of these are going to end up being probably just a tad too small, but I'm gonna go ahead and grab them just in case. And what I'll do, of course, is after I get done cutting out all of the squares, I'll probably lay them out and just see how all of the colors are going to potentially look together before I start putting together the stars. As you can see, I save even very small strips because I could potentially use these as zipper pulls or like little zipper loops. So I go ahead and save pretty much anything that is at least an inch wide, I save. Just in case, you never know when I might need a really small piece of fabric. Okay, so here's what I'm working with for now. So if I wanted to do a different point fabric, then I would do 4.5 for fabric A, 4.5 for fabric B, and then also the background fabrics. So let's see. This way is also pretty cute where you have your points, but in the inside, there's 4 different colored squares. There's just so many ways that you can do it, and I'm a little bit indecisive because I have so much of each fabric. I could do the stars and just have each star be like one design and then kind of alternate the background fabric. Because on this one, every single star is a different fabric and it looks really nice. Background, I'm gonna use this one, and I don't know if you'll be able to tell on camera, but there's these little leaf plants in the background. I think that could be really cute. This actually matches the back of the quilt basically to a T, except this is cotton and that's minky. I think we're just gonna go for it and just see. Maybe we'll start with one star and see if I like the layout of it. I don't want this quilt to be super big, but I also don't want it to be too small where I can't even use it. Something about me is I can be very indecisive, especially when it comes to like picking out fabrics or just lots of different things, where to eat for dinner. I can be very indecisive. What if I, like every star block was one of the like patterns for my collection? For example, like the Mayflowers with the pink gingham, I did the star in this and the background in this. And then like the whole quilt could be like all of the book sleeve designs and pencil cases that I've launched. That could be really cute. So let's go in that direction and see what I'm working with. So we have, of course, Lavender Picnic. That thought just popped into my head looking at all of these fabrics and thinking how I had them matched up for my book sleeves. And that could just be a kind of a, maybe like souvenir, I'm trying to think of the word, like keepsake of all of the patterns that I've launched. Also, this is nice because I already know I like the two fabrics together. As for the sizing, I'm kind of leaning towards maybe doing 6 stars across to 8 down if I have enough fabric to do that. But yeah, I've been wanting to make a quilt for a while, and a bunch of quilt videos are popping up on my TikTok and Instagram. And I thought, you know what? I've been talking about wanting to use up a bunch of my scraps. And when I saw videos on the star block, I was like, that could be a really great way to do that. I still have a lot of scraps that I need to use, so I need to plan some smaller projects. Maybe I should try like AirPod cases. I need to practice wallets more. If you watched my last video, I really wanted to launch wallets for my like mini summer collection, which I ended up calling In the Garden because the fabrics are just really screaming like garden theme to me. But I wanted to launch wallets for that, and I ended up just not being very happy with the way they were turning out. I need to practice some other ways to do the corners. One of you actually sent me a link to a video, so I'm very excited to hopefully, cross my fingers, this turns out well. So far, I do have a lot of fabrics laid out. If this turns out well, I'll do a whole nother quilt just on maybe like the fall fabrics and then do one for Christmas. I really love that idea. Sometimes they come to me, sometimes it takes me a while to think about it or have some trial and error with the projects. So here's everything so far. I do have a couple of my brand new collection. We have this one, which these colors go really well with that. And I know I have plenty of this one because this was launched for my spring collection. And I ended up I don't know if I sold a single one of these. Maybe one, so not very popular. So I have a decent amount of this one left. Once I actually get all of the blocks made, it'll be a little bit easier to line it up and see how I want it. This is just kind of giving me an idea of what I may want and just make sure all of the colors are going together. I feel like this quilt may end up looking a little crazy, but still kind of fun for the idea behind it. So I'm gonna finish this out, and then once I have all of the fabrics picked, we'll get to cutting out all the squares and start making my blocks. All of my squares cut. Before I just cut everything, I want to try and make one first and see how it looks and if I like the style of it. So I have pulled up Home Sewn by Dee. I'm following her measurements and tutorial on how to make this pattern. So I have it all laid out here. We have the butterfly fabric on top of the 4 backgrounds, and then we're going to take these and flip them onto each other. And honestly, I'm not even gonna worry about ironing it all out. I just wanna see how the star is going to look. And I'm gonna do that to every square, then take it to my sewing machine and sew really close to the line, not on the line, but like right along the edge here, because then we'll cut this in half right on that line. Very first quilt block is complete. I think it is really pretty. I like the pattern. I like having the outer and matching inner fabric that I use for like my book sleeves and pencil cases all in one, plus the white to tie in every square. So I have a lot of fabric to get done. This took me quite some time to iron out, cut every square, sew them together, and then put all of the chains together. So it's gonna be quite time consuming to do that. So it's kind of my tester piece to see if I like the way the pattern looks plus the size. And I feel like that's probably a pretty good size because I'll have a bunch of them like obviously side by side, so it'll be pretty long. Not every triangle lines up perfectly, but I don't mind. I think it looks really pretty. So let's go ahead and get started on cutting out all the fabric. I'm gonna probably just fast forward through it because it's going to take a while. So let's get that done. Second block is done. So because I did a square like template for this one, the first one's a little bit small now and doesn't line up, but that's okay. I can just remake this one. But let me kind of show you how it's looking so far. So I'm thinking it's going to be really pretty. I'm excited to make all of the blocks and then lay them out and see how it's really going to look. But you can see here, this block is now a little bit smaller. So you can see a little bit better from this angle. But I do really like how it's looking. I'm glad I went ahead and did the white here as well, because that will help tie in every block together. But it is already getting a little bit late, so I'm going to finish cutting all of the fabrics and preparing each section, and then we'll finish the blocks tomorrow. Go to Hobby Lobby this morning because I ran out of the white like border fabric, but I finished cutting all of these, which I think is maybe like 8 different blocks. I'll tell you, this part is very time consuming. So for each square, I sew around the edge because then we'll cut diagonal on both sides. For the very first block I made, the butterfly bloom, it's actually a little bit too small. So what I did is I ironed on a fleece backing, then I'm going to add bias tape all around it and then frame it, and I'll have my very first quilt block I've ever made framed, and I can put it up on my wall. I always do like little reading updates in every single video. I would love to know, I had an idea, if you all would like a sewing book sleeves and a mid-year reading recap. So basically like the whole video, I'll be sewing book sleeves and be talking about the books I've read, what I've rated them, my favorites, maybe ones that I've DNF'd. Let me know if you would like to see that. I know a lot of you are fellow readers, so I thought that'd be kind of fun to do that video. Maybe do like one of the Q&As that go along with reading. So let's knock this out, put all of these blocks together. I think it looks cute. I wasn't sure because for this pink flower fabric, I had used just a solid kind of gold inside color, but I noticed I had this moth and it has similar colors to the flower, so I thought it could look really pretty. So what I do is line the corners of this square to the seam of the fabric. And there may be an easier way to make this quilt, but this is just how I'm doing it. Okay, I just got home from work, took a shower, I am back to sewing. I definitely underestimated how long this quilt process was going to take. I started on Sunday, did a little bit sewing then, and then I sewed basically all day on Monday because I'm remote from work. Then again, some yesterday evening, and now today is Wednesday and I'm still at it. And I'm probably about halfway through. This blocking process is quite time consuming. I laid everything out yesterday and realized I probably still need about 10 or 11 more blocks for this to be at least a lap quilt or like a baby size quilt. I wanted to make an even bigger one, but I'm concerned about it fitting in my sewing machine. Hopefully this size will fit, because I'm really trying not to have to hand sew this quilt, which of course, if I have to do that, I definitely can, but I have quite a lot of work to still get done. So I picked out some more fabric combos, and I'm currently cutting out a bunch of the squares and also trimming down ones that I finished yesterday. I did post a part 1 over on my Instagram today, kind of just sharing the initial blocks that I made. And then of course, when I'm done, I will post a full short, quick little making video of my first quilt. I'm very excited. I don't know that it matches the best because of course all the blocks are different colors and different designs. But yeah, this method is definitely taking a while. Of course, if I would have done the basic squared checkered layout, I'd probably already be done. But I wanted to do the star to use all the fabrics I wanted. Plus I really love the star quilt look. So good to almost be done with this quilt. Basically right now it's just a lot of back and forth with sewing, ironing, taking to my living room, laying it out, and then bringing it back in here to sew those pieces together until I have all of the blocks put together. Then I'll be ready to do the edges. I'm still debating if I want to do a white fabric around the entire quilt and then add the bias tape, or just go straight in with the pink bias tape that I got. So we'll see. Once I'm finished with all of this, I will lay it out and kind of just see what I like the look of. But right now, I think it's looking really cute. It is a little crazy with the amount of different designs and fabrics I have, but with the colors, I feel like it's still pretty cohesive. But I'm almost done. I need to just sew these 3 pieces together, but we are getting there, and I think it's looking really cute. And I just can't wait to see the final product. So yeah, I'm gonna sew these final pieces together, and then we'll be ready to tackle the edges and then put everything together. Okay, so it's actually the next morning. I will tell you, my body is feeling it today. A whole week of sewing, and I pretty much sewed the entire day yesterday. I didn't think I had that much left, but it took me until like 9:30 to finish this. Mainly because anything that could go wrong went wrong with this quilt. I had to completely rip off the minky fabric because when I was trying to quilt it, it just was not working. I couldn't really fit it in my machine. It was so much material that it just wasn't going. So I had to completely rip that off and ended up doing this pink gingham instead. And then also the bias tape. I had to rip off the first bias tape, went back in with this one, which still looks not great. So I'll probably fix that at a later date, but I wanted to show you all my very first quilt. I will say this was quite a challenge, my biggest project I've ever done. And I'll be honest, last night at 9:30, I was just getting to the point where I was just ready to be done with this. So some parts of the bias tape look a little worse than others, but I'm so happy with the front and the actual blocks. I think they look really cute. I love all the colors. It's definitely kind of giving spring, but it actually turned out a really good size as well. I was worried it's going to be a little bit too small, but when I actually got to sewing, I was thinking if it was any bigger than this, I don't think I could fit it in my machine at all. But let me show you a little bit wider view of my first quilt. So I hope you enjoyed watching me make my very first quilt, and I will see you in my next one very soon. Bye.